It started as a book about the Planning Commission. It ends up on the last page as the Planning Community of India is a place where all the poor people of India can come, and there will be someone there to listen to them. And then they will not be poor anymore. I just struck. What is he saying? Just by being listened to, does a person feel less poor? And indeed, they do. They feel respected. They feel considered. So they don't feel poor in their social and knowledge significance. Okay. Secondly, then, of course, as a scientist myself, applying my mind that if we listen to a variety more of people like those beggars on the streets that he had seen in Delhi, instead of counting them, counting the daisies, like he said, we'd have really understood what poverty means to people, real people, and what it is that would help them to reduce their own levels of poverty. So, by listening to the realities of the people whose lives you wish to improve, you can make better policies also.
That textured understanding is what makes a difference between a policy recommendation at the end of the day as to what works at scale vis-a-vis, say, an AI powered solution that will collapse on contact with the ground realities. So when you sever the links between Neerath, what you call as the artifact, which is a lived experience, however it is captured and presented, and the person who has earned the right to produce it, in my view, it's through the field presence, through iteration, through the genuine engagement with stakeholders, you lose the accountability architecture when you sever that link. So then there no one's on the hook. And in policy, when no one's on the hook, the people who bear the cost are usually the most vulnerable communities who we're trying to serve, who miss out on the benefits. It's surprising that we've just never had to defend it as a principle, because until now, the cost of taking it was prohibitive. But now no one's asking for that cost. It's collapsing or diminishing.
Building information commons is not just about information itself. It is actually about legitimacy. And if stories, narratives that are circulating in the public life, in the public domain, if they are detached from real human experience, then people stop trusting the systems that produce them. There is a lot of conversation happening around how AI generated representation can simulate reality, but the truth is that it cannot bear witness to it. Democratic societies run on witnessing reality.
We will lose the government's ability to be able to distinguish between recommendations that, two sets of recommendations that look identical pretty much, right? On paper, one is grounded in deep analytical evidence that's coming from ground realities, lived realities. And the ones, as you said, is very sophisticated extrapolations from a corpus. It could be hallucinations, who knows? And what makes it worse is that these AI generated versions are going to be, sound more confident, be more comprehensive, more beautifully structured. So why will you pay for a 2-year RCT when you can get a 40-page analysis in 40 seconds? And so this is how you hollow out an entire field, not with a single bad decisions, but with thousands of what you think are very rational seeming shortcuts that are collectively destroying our capacity to know anything real.
In a country as expansive, as diverse as India, to assume that job loss will look the same every single, in every single geography is absolutely wrong. There is a chance that the AI generated summary that you're getting, in aggregating the experiences, it also homogenizes them to a certain degree. Real human experiences, they are not rapid, they are not delivered to you in a few seconds. They are slow, they are contextual because they are lived. The ecosystem of algorithms rewards volume and velocity. I don't think it rewards authenticity to that degree. The real risk is that authentic voices hence end up getting, completely buried under synthetic noise.
AI is not a shortcut. It's a lot of it is actually just first access. Those who are already privileged, might have a better sort of board to jump off. But for the less privileged, if those who have lesser access, if done right, it actually democratizes the system. It lowers the barriers that were never fair to begin with. We've seen domestic workers who've never been able to navigate a government portal can now speak into this app in Hindi and get a current response. We've seen Zomato delivery workers who are using these voice interfaces to understand their contracts, their insurance options, rights, etc., without needing to be literate in that formal sense. We work with Karya, which has enabled women who are sitting in their homes and are feeding their voice into this regional language training data set, and they're getting paid for it. So that's enabling participation in the AI economy as a producer, not just as a consumer or a user.
Young people who were earlier underconfident and not sure how to articulate themselves and are using AI to be able to articulate themselves better. They're able to share lived experiences better. We ourselves ended up building a bot called Gully for neighborhood level storytelling in cities and regions where language is a problem, where articulation is a problem, where access to education is a problem, where just using voice notes, somebody can tell the whole story of how access to water, waste, etc., are a huge issue for them. And we're actually using this live in the city of Indore right now to work with the municipal corporation to identify water challenges.
Social media is dividing us all into people like us who like each other and follow each other, and those thems who follow thems and like thems. So the world is being divided into intellectually, ideologically, emotionally gated communities. And there is no communication across these communities. They do communicate by throwing grenades across the walls at the other, who then lob another one back or the same one back. So the quality of understanding of each other, people like us and people not like us, is become like zero. There's no interest anymore in doing that. And certainly the social media systems are disabling our ability to do that. So we come to then technologists. Today, technologists have got the biggest power, a financial power, and we're beginning to respect them that because they have the smartest tools, which they will give to all of us, we'll all be better. It's about power and giving technologists and people with finance control more power than even, I'm saying, people who do real business, main streets and real business. And certainly in all of this, the poor working classes who say, I own nothing except myself, are just being shunted out.
It's not a willpower problem when we want AI to give us great sounding policy briefs. We are responding to the incentive structure, which is a design problem. We work with a lot of funders. And there again, there's a power asymmetry. They are the most powerful and probably the most under-examined lever, I feel, in this entire system. Foundations and ministries, grant making organizations, they fund outputs rather than this process of generating genuine understanding. The payment architecture is only rewarding volume and speed, I would say, not the depth. Just changing what funders pay for would cascade through the system much faster. And then just to be honest about our role in it as well, we need to make their explicit choices about how will we genuinely certify genuine work. In medicine, for instance, you cannot publish a clinical trial without a registered protocol. We need more peer review stuff in AI. We need methodology disclosure. We need field verification, fieldwork verification. We need some standards which I think need to be developed better. In JPAL, we articulate a theory of change. We publish null results. We embed evaluations in government systems and not alongside them. So, for instance, but if governments deploy AI tools without building infrastructure from the beginning, they will never develop the capacity to distinguish what tools are helping or what tools are harming. If you don't have a theory of change in AI, you will not be able to discipline against slop.
Processed food is not banned, but there's a nutritional label that tells you that it's processed. I think we probably need to think of what a provenance layer of the internet looks like. When I'm consuming information, do I get to find out who created this, what is the source of it, and where is this? Am I able to trace it back reliably? I think it'll really help to have a more easily accessible public digital commons, public libraries, national archives, civic data repositories, places where human participation is encouraged, how public broadcasting used to work in a different time.
Fireflies who have their own energy and they're very small. They are the real seeds of the transformation of the system. And on dark nights, We said, like in northern India, I grew up there, that when everything looks like hopeless and too hot and dark, when these little fireflies start to arise all together, there's hope for everybody in the system. A leader is someone who, she or he, who takes the first steps towards something that he or she deeply cares about, not is being measured by how much money you have, how fast you've been promoted. I deeply care about this inside me, and in ways that others will wish to follow. And I say this to Indian young people: you want to be an entrepreneur, please don't be a unicorn, because that's all about yourself. Be a firefly.